Hello, and welcome back. In this video, we will review how to create a patient and place an order. We will discuss insurance and bill types as well. So let's get started. The first step before you can create an order is to create the patient. The patient must exist if we want to make an order for them. So go to the patient on the top menu here, click Add Patient. This is our demographic screen. You'll notice that everything in red will be required, and then anything that's not required will just be in black standard text. So let's start by filling out a patient. I highly recommend that you add patient email addresses. And I'm going to skip down to the address. And then the mobile phone. You are able to test the mobile number. Text message is being sent. You can add the patient's race, an ethnic group here. Next, we'll move on to insurance. This is our primary insurance. You'll notice that this right here, this field's in red, which is required, but you're not able to type in this field. Instead, you'll go into the search field. NextGen has the system preloaded with insurance carriers. So let's start by doing Blue Cross Blue Shield. And let's say we're in Texas. And you can see we have 3 different options here. Let's select one of those. All right, and so now we're on to group ID. I'm just going to make something up here. And then policy numbers also required. Relationship. You have different options here. I'm going to select self. You'll notice that the patient demographic information automatically populates. We'll scroll down. Insurance 2. So if the patient has secondary insurance, this is where you would enter that information. In this case, our patient does not, and that is okay. We will click Save and Place Order down here. All right, so this is our ordering page that we're starting with. You'll notice this nice dashboard here. We have the patient information, and then these are the steps to follow. So if the arrow is in yellow, that is the step we are on. So we have our patient demographics we just filled in down here. We have our order type. It's set as draw now. You could change it to draw later, but I recommend keeping it draw now. Bill type, it's set at third party because we did fill in insurance, but we do have other options. There's client if we have a client bill relationship with your practice, and we have patient. If the patient did not have insurance information and they were going to be self-pay, you would want to select patient bill. You'll notice down here, we no longer have insurance information. It's going to be self. But in this case, the patient has insurance, so we'll want to put third party. And we have insurance again. All right, and if your facility has more than one provider, there will be multiple options for you to choose which doctor should be on the order. All right, so now we have green check marks, so everything is complete and we can move on to the next screen. All right, so now we're in test. This is where NextGen can pre-populate your favorite test panels for you to select from. You can also search up here in our test compendium. If you're looking for, let's say, Fragile X, you can start typing, you'll find that here. But for the sake of this, we're going to go with the Early Advantage panel. And we're going to select Next. Here we have our clinical questions. We have this one already pre-filled for us. Let's go through the rest of them. If they're required, these will show in red and you will not be able to move on to the next screen, but it's still good practice to fill these out anyways. Let's move on. So now we're on to the diagnosis. We can also pre-populate this for you for your favorites, or you can search the system for anything else you would like. And you can add multiple. Let's go next. All right, here we're on review. So this is just to review everything that we have already inputted for this order, and it gives you a chance to go back and make any edits if needed. We see that order date and collection date, they pre-populate with today's date and time. Here we have report comments. If you needed to make a mention of, let's say, family history of SMA, you could do that right there. We have our diagnosis codes that we selected. Here we have our clinical questions. We also have our early advantage panel that we selected. If any edits need to be made, you can hit this back button. Please, I do not advise you using the back browser button up here. But everything checks out and looks great, so we will hit complete. And here we have our test requisition. We recommend that you print this and package it up with the sample. You'll see that we have the patient demographic here. We have the bill type was set as insurance. Insurance information is there. We have our test panel that was ordered, our clinical questions that were answered, our note of family history of SMA. We also have our patient acknowledgement. So after you print this, it's good practice to have the patient sign and date that. We also, as I had mentioned before, if the patient did not have insurance and they elected to be patient bill type, this is where we would accept the credit card information. So you have your name on card, credit card number, we have them sign it, expiration date, and also the security code. So these are important sections to do after you print the requisition form. And that concludes how to create a patient and place an order. Thank you for joining.